Assalamu alaikum and welcome to another episode of the Dr. Will Show, where I interview educators and entrepreneurs on leveling up. Each episode, I zoom in someone who's dope, and we just sit back and have a conversation on what it means to live your best life. Now, if this is your first time checking out the podcast, this is the Mobile University for Entrepreneurs, and I'm your host, Dr. Will. Now, today's guest, I've been really excited about doing this interview. I didn't know this interview was even going to happen because I was like, how am I going to even reach out to this individual? But I saw her on Dr. I's podcast. And people, y'all know who Dr. I is. And she made the introduction and Jessica said yes. And today's guest is Jessica Yarbrough, a business strategist doing big things. Her videos are phenomenal, and I encourage all of you to just watch those. I have binged those videos, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is incredible information. And quite honestly, when you hear them, they're different from what you hear a lot of people talk about, right? So I know she's going to get into that, but when people say, hey, you do this, and this, she just come out the gate like, boom, let's do it like this. And I said, wow, okay. So for those who be listening on Apple Podcast, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Simplecast, will you please introduce yourself, Jessica?
My name is Jessica Yarbrough. Thanks for having me on the show. And yeah, I'm a business strategist. I focus on really helping entrepreneurs, and this is coaches, consultants, educators, to monetize their genius, to package, position, and attach the right messaging to what they do in the marketplace, to really rise above the noise online and build an expert business so they can attract high-paying clients and have the impact and the income they desire.
All right. That is all right. So I'm always curious as to how people get to where they are. What do you think you will be doing when you were growing up, and what attracted you to entrepreneurship?
Well, I always felt like I was a teacher, and that's what I'm doing now. I mean, I'm teaching my clients and empowering them. So I've always had that desire to help others and to teach and inspire. Did I know that was going to turn into consulting when I was 7? Probably not. But that's where it led me today. And I absolutely love what I do. And you can do things for people, or you can teach them how to do it for themselves. And to me, that is so much more empowering. So educators are really a driving force. They're change agents. And like they say, you can teach you can give a man a fish or teach him to fish, right?
Oh yes. It's interesting profession. Okay, I'm not gonna get myself into trouble, so I'm gonna keep moving. As an educator, we have to do so many things. We literally have to be a jack of all trades, and when it comes to niching down or specializing, that's something that is very hard for us to do, because when you're teaching this class, you have to be competent in everything that is associated with what you're doing.
Sure.
So I want to ask you about how can that educator who is thinking about becoming an entrepreneur take stock of their strengths, their talents, their interests, passions, education, and really discover where their lane should be?
Well, a couple of things. I mean, obviously you want to look at your education, your skill set, the biggest wins that you've had in your life, but you also need to look at how you can solve bigger problems, because if you solve bigger problems, you can charge bigger prices. So rather than, I'll give you an example, maybe you're an educator and you say, hey, I'm really good at alternative learning. And so I want to train, maybe go out there and empower some new Montessori teachers on how to be better educators, right? They're not going to have a lot of money, and that's not going to be a big problem. But if instead you said, you know what, I want to take this transformational alternative learning model and I want to go around the world and I want to empower and create centers of excellence Now you've solved a much bigger problem. Now you can go into places like China or somewhere in Europe and say, hey, I'm gonna bring in this education. I'm gonna help build your school. I'm gonna empower and educate all of your teachers, and the price is $75,000. Do you see the difference? So it's like looking at it from taking a step back instead of saying, I'm going to create a course and make this $197. How can I solve a bigger problem? How can I kind of go like expand my vision and go into companies and teach, or larger organizations, Fortune 500 companies? How can you use speaking? Whatever it may be, there are ways that you can inject yourself in kind of the value chain and make a bigger impact, solve a bigger problem, and therefore get paid a lot more money.
So I want to throw this out there to you, because in watching one of your videos, you were talking about how it's not about the information, it's about the transformation, right?
That's right.
So will you please speak to that? Because I know for me, when someone asks me what is an entrepreneur, I always tell them that it is an educator who creates an education focused or education based business who focuses not on the transaction of I provide a service, I take your check, but on the transformation of, are you a different person after we have worked together than you were when we first started?
Absolutely. So I say that because we are bombarded by internet marketers and course creators who are saying, go this route, create a course. It's a huge market, have passive income for the rest of your life. But we know that courses have a 15% completion rate. So most people, when left to their own devices, are going to kind of operate and say, oh, this is a good deal, and buy, and then it's going to sit on their Google Drive or their Dropbox, never to be completed. There's no transformation in that. So what I encourage people is the information for the most part is free. I mean, turn to Google, turn to YouTube, you can learn anything. It's amazing, right? The transformation is not in the information, it's what you do with that information. And so it's not about selling the course. It's not about holding back or being afraid to share on live stream or my YouTube videos like you see. It's about giving that information away and then inviting people to work with you, to walk them through that process of transformation, to help them implement that information in their own lives, in their own businesses. That's where the impact happens. It is the relationship. It is that transference of confidence, of energy. It is the feedback loop of, hey, I learned this information. How do I apply it now? That's where the true transformation is.
All right, people. Y'all gonna learn today. So I now want to ask you about the expert positioning statement. Sure. Because when I was looking at the video, it was so clear and provided so much clarity to me, because I have people coming to my podcast because they want to monetize their talents. And that's why people have purchased the Intrapreneur, my first documentary, because they want to know, okay, how do I get in the game? And watching that video, I was like, wow, okay, this was like very concise, clear way of literally understanding who you are and what you bring to the game. Can you please go into that for me?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'll preface it by saying that the majority of businesses that fail don't do so because the service they provide is bad or they can't get the client's results. It's that they fail to effectively communicate who they are and the value they bring to the table. So therefore, they miss all the opportunity to ever even get clients. Most people have a lead gen problem because they have a communication problem, a messaging problem. So the expert positioning statement is something I developed that really says in a sentence, this is who I am, whether that's an educator, a coach, a consultant, a strategist, and you need to understand the difference between those because they are different. I help. This is exactly who I help, six-figure entrepreneurs, new moms, whatever it may be. To do what? What is the thing that you help them do? What is the main thing? For me, it's build an expert business. But what's the one thing that you do? It could be double their leads, triple their income, close 5 new deals, whatever it may be. So that what's the expected outcome? What is the outcome that you're selling? Because people don't necessarily even care about the service. I mean, everybody wants a 6-figure income. Everybody wants more leads, but they want the outcome of it. What's the result? So that what can happen? You know, that's the formula. I help, do, so that. I am a business strategist. I help entrepreneurs build expert authority businesses so they can scale to 7 figures.
Mm-hmm.
Very simple. 30-second pitch. Anybody gets it? Does that sound interesting to you? Yes. Okay, let's talk more.
Mm.
Get it down, get it concise.
All right, people, I should charge y'all for that one.
Yeah. Just drop the PayPal link below.
Yes. That was all right. So, once an entrepreneur know who they are, right, and they can articulate, are they a writer? Are they a course designer? Are they a consultant, etc.? They know what they help people do, right? As you mentioned, they know the results. They know who they work with. How do they then begin to gain the credibility to differentiate themselves from, let's say, from example, another educator who also works with schools in a one-to-one Chromebook environment?
Right. So I would say I want to build credibility in my programs, but I can give you some of them. I mean, you guys are educators. I want you to teach what you know. One of the best ways to do that is to buy a whiteboard off of Amazon and actually teach. Why? Because we know there's something in the brain that well, first of all, there's a shift that happens when you see someone writing on a board. That's what we did when we were children. We sat in our seats and we learned from a teacher. So you automatically shift the dynamic from that's a cool person, that's my peer, to that's my teacher. People become ready to learn. Their brains are trained. They're ready to learn. So ultimately, your positioning is automatically elevated by teaching. The other one is we know that when you write down on the board, that the brain has the ability to retain that information better than if it's a flat PowerPoint. So get out there and teach and start giving people those aha moments. Like go on LinkedIn Live, go on Facebook Live and teach your heart out. And then take that information and download it, put it on YouTube, transcribe it, create an article, all of those different things. But you got to show people who you are. Experts teach, experts give value. You look at the greats of our industry, across industries, whether that's personal development or business, they're all out there, they're writing, they're teaching, they're putting out their content, they're educating, informing, inspiring their audience, and that is what builds their business. That's what builds their platform.
This next question, look, I'm going to be honest with you. It hit me hard. It hit me hard because I love online learning. I have 2 online teaching certifications. Part of my job is to deliver PD via online courses. And when you were like, okay, these are some myths of marketing.
The 3, yes.
I said, oh, that hurt. It hurt, because so what you hear is, okay, let's have a tiered process of you do your book to sell a course.
Yes.
To, hey, we do some speaking and maybe we get to the coaching.
One day, maybe.
Right? And you said, stop, don't do that. Get you a high ticket offer like coaching. And I was like, oh, okay, what do I do? What do I do? Because for me, not that I wasn't thinking necessarily the tiered options, but the courses was like, okay, this is sort of my game plan of creating an online academy because I love that. This is what I do.
Right.
So why should people not do those things and hit with a high ticket offer?
Well, it's not to say that courses aren't valid. You definitely need information. In my programs, I've recorded a ton of videos, trainings, resources, all of that. They need the information. But again, we talk about the transformation being in what you do with that information. And so what happens is there is this myth that I can create a course and then monetize it. And if you look at the numbers, that's just not what happens. Because if you're selling a $497 course, it's going to take a long time to get to 10K a month, which is what most people say when they come to me. They say, listen, I want to hit that 6-figure mark. Okay. The problem is most people don't have the audience or the following to monetize it. On average, you're going to need to have 100 people hit that sales page for someone to buy. And that's if the copywriting is good. And that's an art in of itself. That's if the offer's right, the title's right, the titles of the modules are right, the look and image of the page is right. Then you've got to push traffic to it. And if you don't have traffic, you got to go the Facebook ad route. And LinkedIn ads is really way too expensive to be doing it. So you got to do Facebook ads. But now people aren't just going to buy from a total stranger off of Facebook ads. So there's a whole warming up campaign. You could drop $10,000, $20,000 into warming someone up before they ever even buy that $500 course. Now, it doesn't take long to do the math to see, unless you have a great following, it's going to be really hard to monetize that course. And people come to me all the time and they've dumped $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 into building out a program that never sold a course, or into Facebook ads that never converted. So instead, focus on your high ticket, have a high value offering, $3,000, $5,000, $10,000. Focus on the relationship, get on calls, listen with empathy, and show people a way out of their pain.
So how do people find their people, right? Because this is what I do know from putting out my documentary, is just because you're, let's say, on Twitter and you have 11,000 followers doesn't mean you're going to sell 11,000 copies. Hey, I'm still hoping, but you don't necessarily need that if you find your people, because
That's
your
right.
people will buy from you not only once, but a second time and a third time and so on. So once people are on these social networks, be it LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and they're getting ready to roll out their product or their coaching program, how do they find their people in order to attract the business they need to be successful?
Well, you need to be very, very clear on who your ideal client is. And if your ideal client is someone who is making less than $50,000 a year, you're going to have a real hard time selling a 5-figure program. So you might need to market to people who can. So you need to be able to look at what are their job profiles. You know, I know if somebody is for example, if this was who I was marketing to in the corporate world, I know VPs are probably going to have a 6-figure salary, 150, 300,000. So would they be able to afford a $10,000 program? Absolutely. You know, if I have people friending me on LinkedIn that are a web designer in Pakistan, they're never going to be an ideal client. So I'm not going to bring them into my network. So you need to be intentional and curate your network to people that can either add value, meaning they have relationships that can get you access to people that you want, or they have media opportunities, or they are an ideal client. And everybody else you need to just eliminate, because we know the algorithm is only going to show a small percentage of your audience, your message. So if you've accepted thousands of people who are maybe a plumber in Des Moines, or, or like I said, overseas brand designers or web developers, then that means that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 100 or thousands of people less likely to see your content. And you need your content in front of the right people. So you need to get really clear on who that ideal person is, clean up your network, make sure you're only attracting and curating that network of people that you see as your ideal client, and go from there.
So I want to stick with this network curation, because I was watching one of your videos and you were talking about how you need to be very intentional, as you mentioned, as I don't accept every invite. I don't accept every connection. I'm very okay, I'm targeted with whom I connect with. Now, as an educator, normally what I have found, and even with myself, if your thing says you're an instructional technologist at a school district or you're an instructional designer, I'm like, wow, I can learn from this person. I automatically go, boom. I'm not thinking, is this person my person? Is this person, will this person be the one that buys my documentary? Will this person be the one that will hire me for podcast coaching? I don't think about that. I just go, wow, they're an educator. You're part of the family. Let's jump on.
Yeah.
So for those educators who may hear this and may be jarred uh,
Yes.
by this notion, why, and I know you mentioned it, but why should people be more careful, right? More cognizant of the people that they do allow in their network?
Because you are literally just putting more blocks to reach your ideal clients. And in fact, I did that whole training called the Ocean to Pond strategy, which is really about bringing your ideal clients into your network so that you become what's known as a micro influencer, highly relevant to the people that you want to serve, right? And that training alone, I had a guy reach out to me and he said, I did what you said. I cleaned up my network and I closed 3 clients in a week. And now I have more leads than I can handle. That in of itself speaks to the strategy. You know, we want to make sure that we are curating a network of people that are going to listen to us, consume our content, and ultimately move them down the pipeline to either becoming a client or they're referring others to us. And so I know it may seem a little harsh to be deleting people left and right or declining people, but ultimately you don't need to be following and listening to 20, 30, 40, 50 different mentors. In fact, distraction is your biggest bottleneck. Follow 1 or 2 people max, go all in, shut out the distractions, focus on building your own expert platform and creating your own network.
Mm. So I want to kind of go back to this high ticket offer.
Yes.
How does an entrepreneur go about creating or developing a high ticket item and doing so in a way to which the pricing may, well, you don't want to price yourself out of the market. You
Mm-hmm.
know, again, you know, when we go to conferences, first of all, we all have an idea of what our salaries are, you know, nationwide. Uh, Two, normally those of us who are in the consultant game kind of have an idea of what school districts are paying people to come in and deliver trainings, whether it be the low end to the high end. And
Right.
yes, there are some people who, you know, they're getting 10 grand for a keynote,
Mm-hmm.
but they are the unicorns. So
Right.
when you say create this high ticket offer, and I'm not opposed to it myself. But how does someone do that barring the, let's say, financial constraints of one's industry?
Yeah, well, first of all, there are schools that will pay, so you need to find those schools, right? And it doesn't mean that you can still can't help other schools. Maybe you have a sliding scale, or you do charity work, give back, or whatever. There's always ways to help and empower your community, but that doesn't mean you still can't take care of your own family and be paid well for the value that you bring to, you know, these schools or to your clients' lives. So how do you put together a high ticket offer? You want to make it pricey yet affordable, meaning the value, the return that they get is so high that even if the price tag is a little higher than they're used to paying, the return is so much greater that it becomes actually affordable. So you need to really focus on creating outcome-based programs. Outcome based. And if you can show them the numbers, because ultimately, whether that's a school district or it's a Fortune 500 company, there are CFOs, accountants, they're the ones who are going to be making the decisions no matter what HR says or anybody else. You need to show them the return. You need to say, listen, this is one of the first things I have my clients do, that are going into that industry, going into the corporate world, is that you're going to have part of it research. So pull up things by McKinsey and Company, Harvard Business Review, Deloitte and Touche. Get some numbers on how what you do is going to increase productivity or reduce healthcare costs or whatever it is that you are training on. You need to pull those numbers in and be able to show them, listen, if all this did was, you know, help reduce your employee turnover, you know, by 10%, therefore saving you $250,000 a year, what would that be? What would that be worth to you? Is that worth 5 grand? Yeah. So you need to go in and find that data and show them the numbers, and make sense to them. Pull out the logic and tie all that to the results. Your program, whatever you're offering, should be offering some incredible results, and the return needs to be high, much higher than the price you charge.
So you put out a lot of free content,
Yes.
and it is very educational. I enjoy consuming it. Hopefully, you can tell by my questions that I've been watching
I have.
your
Good job.
videos. Excellent. Well, thank you for doing it.
Of
Um,
course.
what is your process for deciding what to share? Because you do give away so much free content that is filled with great information. It's not just surface.
Right.
Here I'm going to give you so you
Yes.
can now sign up for this, but it is real
It's a
information that
piece of
people can
meat.
use. Yes.
Yes. I give them something to chew on.
Yes.
Well, how do I decide? I mean, partly it's my own inspiration, like the one I did on 9 lessons the other day, 9 lessons to take you from 5K to 25K a month. I share that because those were 9 things I had to learn. And I hope that by sharing it, people would save themselves a lot of time and money and frustration. Same thing with the 3 biggest myths about the marketing gurus and how to stop spending your hard-earned cash. The webinar model, the course creator, and the best-selling author. I literally have had clients come to me from all of those types of programs with a whole lot of money lost and time wasted, wanting me to turn their business around. And I literally, when I put that out, I had one of my clients screenshot it and say, ouch, because because he had invested so much into these marketing tactics. So I share based on what my clients have been through. I share based on my own lessons. I try to share as much strategies as possible to help people get to the next level. And then sometimes I'll share short little frameworks like I teach in my programs. But, it's all just designed to help you create a mindset shift, really smash some limiting beliefs that are really being taught in our industry, and help you to move the needle forward in your business.
So you do video, YouTube, and
Yes.
live stream videos. When people are thinking about giving that free content, there are many platforms and many ways to deliver that free content. How does someone go about deciding, are they going to do video? Are they going to do live video? Will it be a blog? Will it
Right.
be a podcast? What should go into someone's thought process and actually discovering which method of or the delivery method that content will take place?
Well, I'm a big proponent of live video. That's where everything is going in terms of the market, the industry, technology. So, but I always push my clients to do video, and then we use that video in other ways. But some people are just not going to be good on video. It happens every once in a while where you just have someone who's very dry, they're not engaging. And so if that is you, then stick with copywriting and become a
Mhm.
really good writer. So you need to play to your own strengths, but I would encourage everyone to test out the live model. And what I do, and I repurpose all my content, is I record a live stream, and then we take that video, put it on YouTube. We transcribe that video and turn it into articles and post. We chop that video up into little segments. You can capture the audio and create a wave file. I mean, you can. What I say is create 1, 2, 3, 4 really great pieces of content, thought-provoking content, something where you're teaching your heart out. I even try to shorten my videos, but they always end up being like almost 30 minutes long. One of my team members said, "Can you please keep this under 20 minutes?" And I tried, but it just, you just teach your heart out. So you just teach your heart out, make it really good. And then, use that same piece of content in 50 different ways, and people will appreciate it. Right. And it doesn't have to be reinventing the wheel, but just take something really great and give it your all. And people will start to really pay attention to you because they know you're not just giving them the surface level stuff. I've had people message me and say, I literally ruin them for fluffy coaches because who give little crumbs, because I'll just bam hit them with some something really hard hitting, and then give them something to chew on. And that's what people
Mhm.
want. Give them something to think about, create that shift. And I promise you're going to start to attract really amazing opportunities in the form of media, and also really amazing clients who are already pre-sold before you get on the phone with them.
So before we go, what is your advice to that entrepreneur who they've taken the leap? They've been working,
Mhm.
but they're not seeing the results. So they may have a month where it's like, I'm chilling. I might get a little prouder this month. And the next month is like, I'm going to Target. What and for some people, especially, I'm assuming for all people, when the income isn't consistent and when they have those super highs and real lows, it can really mess with you emotionally. But I'm thinking as that educator that already had issues with that mindset of monetizing their talents in the first place, because no one becomes an educator to be rich. So when you get over that mindset of I'm going to charge for my expertise, and now you're out there and you're giving of yourself, and the money just isn't there, and you're wondering, did I make a mistake?
Mhm.
What do you say to them to keep them going, to give them that sense of encouragement, or that pep talk, or something that will keep them on track to keep going?
Well, I believe mindset is one of the most overlooked and underrated aspects of entrepreneurship. Believe it was lesson number 3 or 4. Things are going to happen. Things are going to go wrong. You're going to have highs. You're going to have lows. You're going to have people screw you over, steal your content, all kinds of things that you would not believe people would ever do. You're going to lose money sometimes, and time, and it's going to be frustrating, and you're going to have people telling you that you need to stop and you need to go back and get a job and everything else. And your ability to pivot and make changes, let things go, and really hold faith in the process of the divine unfolding in your life is going to play a key role in your ability to succeed. Faith is key. If you're a person of faith, prayer is key. Trusting in yourself, trusting that there is something higher in order guiding you to what you need to be doing, letting go of anything that doesn't serve you. That's people, that's negative beliefs, that's circumstances when somebody, like I said, may have hurt you, and being able to move forward and hold the vision, trust the process, and take action towards your dreams.
Mm. People, you heard it. You heard it. That's Jessica Yarbrough, people. Thank you, Jessica, for coming on.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. I'm so excited about today, and I can't wait to release this tomorrow, because I'm really excited for people of my audience, if they haven't already, to hear from you and start getting on that YouTube and
That's right.
checking out your channel, your information. But for those, my last question for you, for those who will be listening and would like to contact you, would like to work with you, how can they do that?
Well, the first thing I would recommend is actually downloading my 4-part video series, which is how to attract high-paying clients and really grow your business to $500,000. I want you to watch that video, because in it, I walk you through step by step what I do. That'll help you really understand me a little bit more, and understand whether you think this process is going to work for you. And then, of course, you can check me out at jessicayarbrough.com. Hit me up on LinkedIn, send me a message, and let me know you heard me on Dr. Will's show. Otherwise, I may not accept, so make sure you send me that message. Follow me on Facebook, and watch my free training, as I put a lot of things out there. I get thousands of views on my videos, and the goal is really to empower people. Even if we never work together, I want you to get the information, feel the shift, keep moving forward, and I hope to see you in my network.
Awesome. Thank you again, Jessica, for coming on the show.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Now, people, you know how I do this. This podcast episode will be going on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, and Simplecast. I need you to subscribe, follow, leave your recommendation, share it, everyone, because your boy's trying to get Oprah on the show, and I want her to know that we're doing big things around here. Again, I'd like to thank my guest, Jessica Yarbrough, for dropping so many gems. And don't forget to go to Vimeo and pick up your copy of The Edupreneur. As always, people, invest in you. EDU. Peace.